Okay, we are up and running. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Avra, and I am super excited to be here with you this afternoon. I'm what's called a teacher success champion at CAMI. So basically what that means is that it's my job and my pleasure to make you successful with CAMI. So I want you to know that I am a former elementary teacher. I started out in the third grade classroom. I moved to kindergarten, did that for a while. And then for the bulk of my career, I was a technology teacher, K through 8. So I've worked with all different grade levels. And my favorite, though, is working with teachers, because if I support you, then you all go out and do wonderful things with your kids. So listen, I'm going to put a link in the chat. A lot of you have already clicked on it. So it looks like about 10 or 11 of you have already clicked on it. If you could please locate that link that I just put in there and click on it for me, it will take you to a page that is green with some purple writing. It says utilizing CAMI in the classroom. I will go ahead and share my screen, and that way you can see kind of what you will encounter when you click on it. Okay. So you guys, this is an agenda document. It is it's for your reference after our time together today, okay? It's got my contact information at the bottom, my email address. It's also got the contact information of your account manager, Katrina, one of my amazing colleagues. Katrina is also a former teacher, so we are both here for you. You can ask us questions, via email anytime you'd like. Additionally, there is just kind of a list of things that I'm hoping to cover today, as well as a link to a collaborative activity. The collaborative activity is where we're going to start today. And some of you, I recognize names as I was looking before we got started. You may have done a similar activity with me in the past. This is a little different than we've ever done. But what I'd love for you to do is once you've clicked here and you're on this green page, please look for the words collaborative activity in the top left and do me a favor and click on it, okay? And what will happen is you will open up yet another CAMI document. So I'm going to give everybody just a minute or two to get that document open, and then I'm going to kind of just talk about what we're going to do in this environment. So I can see people jumping into this document right now, you guys. Just to let you know, for those of you that are already in and just kind of waiting, what I'm doing right now, kind of as the teacher in this little scenario this afternoon, this professional learning scenario, I'm keeping an eye down at the bottom right of my screen. There are a series of icons, and they have people's initials in them, okay? And I can click on, right now it says +8, so plus, or now just went up to 9, so plus the 3 that are there. If I click here, it tells me that we've got about 13 people in here right now. And this is just a nice way for me to kind of gauge how we're doing, right? So I can look over at the Google Meet and see about how many folks we have versus how many have gotten in. So that kind of gives me a sense of, how you guys are doing and how to pace the lesson. So you can always think about that. If you decide to utilize CAMI in a collaborative way, like we're going to do right now, there are some just nice indicators and tools that you can use in order to be able to be successful, as the teacher, as you're kind of guiding kids through an experience. So this experience specifically is going to be something where I'm going to ask each of you to kind of take on a page, okay, or a slide, if you will. This was, you guys, a Google slideshow that I brought into CAMI, okay? And so if you would like right now to come on back to the Google Meet, if you are looking at the collaborative activity, you're in CAMI, come on back to the Google Meet for a minute, okay? Because what I'm going to do is kind of demonstrate for you what I'm hoping you'll do, okay, in this scenario. So what I'm trying to do is give you a chance to get in, press some buttons, play around with CAMI, but also share a little information with me, okay? So what I'm going to do is ask you to use the text box tool to put your name up in the very first, like at the top right, okay? You'll see where it says your name. And from there, you can do some formatting. You'll notice that that rounded rectangle that says your name is actually black. And I did that kind of by design because I wanted you to experience changing the font color, possibly changing the background of the text box, okay? So what I did is I clicked on text box, and then I went over and clicked somewhere here, and I typed my name, okay? So as I do that, guys, I can double click, and I can highlight the letters, the word Avra, okay? And then I can come up to this formatting toolbar right here. It's called the Rich Text Editor in Cami. And this is where I could make my words larger, okay? I could change the color if I wanted to, okay, and make my words red instead, that kind of thing, okay? The next thing I want you to notice is that I've created 2 additional spaces for text, and I'm asking you to share something that you love about Cami. So if you are brand new to Cami, you can simply say, I don't know what I love about Cami yet. I'm brand new, right? But many of you have used Cami in the past and are experienced with it. So I would love to know something that's working for you, something that you're enjoying. And then I'd also love to know something that you're wondering about, okay? And you guys, I want you to know that I may not get through, like, I may not be able to answer everyone's questions. If there are lots of you that are wondering about different things and you share those with me, if there's something you're still really wondering about, we can email back and forth about it. But it'll give me a sense as you're doing this of, who knows what and kind of where you're at. Okay. And then optional, on the left-hand side, it's optional. I would love for you to share a picture of yourself. Now, how are you going to get that picture? Couple different options. One, you're going to head over to the Add Media tool, and you'll see that I've given you the option to pull a picture in from your computer. Okay, so if you have something on the hard drive of the computer that you're on, you could pull it in. Or you could take a picture with our camera tool, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. You could also pull something in from Google Drive. If you have a picture of yourself in Google Drive, you could grab that. Or if you really wanted to, you could do a Google image search and put in a picture of a cat. I don't care. I just want you to have the experience of working with images inside of Cami. Let me show you what I mean by taking a picture. If I choose Add Media and I go up to the camera tool, it launches this camera tool here, and I can smile and take that picture, okay? And then what I can do is I can drop it right here on the page and move it around and put it where I'd like it to be. Okay, so I can see that some of you are already jumping in and doing this, which is awesome. So I'm going to delete myself out of this first box. But what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to give you at least 5 to 6 minutes right now to kind of complete this activity. And I want you to feel free to use the chat here in Google Meet to ask questions. Okay, if you're having trouble or you're struggling in some way, please let me know. Okay, because I want to I want to be able to help you be successful. So please do as much or as little as makes sense for you, okay? Share as much or as little information about, what you love about Cami and that kind of thing, as much as you feel comfortable sharing. And it looks like we've got a lot of folks now that are in here and going, so we're doing great. So you guys, you will want to scroll a little bit. It looks to me like we've got a couple people who are all on that first slide. So if you don't mind, go ahead and use your scroll kind of on your mouse or however you do that and scroll through, because what you're going to find is that this document is actually a multi-page document. Okay, you will find that there are many, many pages, and I did that on purpose because I knew we would have lots of different people here. Okay, so please feel free to just scroll down until you find one that's empty. Okay, and that way then you can put your name in. So if there are a couple of you, I think, that are maybe on that top one, go ahead and, a couple of you anyway, go ahead and scroll on down until you find a different one. If you are someone who is pretty familiar with Cami and you've used it enough, you can feel free to kind of do the bonus of the pronunciation if you'd like. For those of you that are new to Cami, don't worry about this, okay? This is a more advanced feature, but for those of you who are, familiar with Cami and you've maybe been to my sessions before, you could go over to the comment tool and you'll see that you have access to the voice comment. And what you can do is actually record your voice pronouncing your name. Okay, completely optional, but it's a neat thing to kind of experience that audio recorder that we have built right into Cami. Terry, we're about to hit 1,000 in that library. It's funny that you mentioned that. We were at like 850 last week, and they were just talking that we're really close to hitting 1,000. In fact, I should look right now and see where they're at. It's so funny. Every time I jump in to do a training, it has gone up. Yep, we're at 985. So that'll be one of the first things that I share with everybody is that wonderful Cami library. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. A lot of brave people are using that camera tool to take a picture. I give you kudos because selfies are tough. As adults, I'm not sure that we're as great at taking selfies as some of our kids are. So I know that that can be something that maybe makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Please don't feel that you have to at all. Loving the Bitmoji pictures as well. And like I said, you could also just put a picture of something else in there. It does not have to be a picture of you. I just wanted to make that an option for you if you want, okay? Evelyn, I love your everything. That's very nice. Something you love about Cami, and she wrote everything. So that's awesome. All right. I'm going to give us about 2 or 3 more minutes, guys, and then we'll kind of unpack this activity and talk about it. And then we'll move on to some demonstration, and I will show you some of the things that are cool and new. We do have a handful of people that are saying that they're new to Cami. So we'll do a little bit of, some beginning stuff, and then we'll do some intermediate stuff. I usually try to have just a nice balance in my sessions. As you're doing this and as I'm just kind of chatting with you while you do, I do want to just say that if at any time you have a question, I will definitely take questions at the end for sure, but you can feel free to ask them in the chat and I will keep an eye on it, okay? Because if you're wondering something, sometimes that wondering can be even a distraction to your learning, right? So if you're wondering, please feel free to ask and don't just kind of suffer silently because I want you to get the most out of this time together as possible, okay? All right, loving the question, what is Cami? I will answer that for you. All right, and Christina takes all of my paper pencil activities and makes them more interactive. I love it. All right, comment and recording tools. Elizabeth likes shapes, paint, checking work tools for teachers. Gotcha. All right. This has been fun, you guys. You guys have done an amazing job. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just kind of encourage you to come on back to the Google Meet. Okay, if you're still working on your slide or your page, you can feel free to do that. I'm not going to, I won't take access away to this or away from you at all. I could though, just so you know. So if I wanted to, as the teacher right now, I could actually go in and make it so that you didn't have any tools anymore. So let me show you that. If you haven't already come back to the Google Meet and are looking at my screen, please do, because one of my favorite things about Cami is that teachers control the environment for their students. And what I mean by that is, if you will look on the left-hand side of my screen, you will notice that I have quite a few options. And you probably noticed on yours that you didn't have as many options. And you guys, that was by design, okay? That was because I wanted to be able to only not overwhelm you, first of all, but also show you that teachers can choose the tools that students have. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top right of my screen. And you guys, at the top right of my screen, you'll see this purple bar, and I have a series of icons. The first or the second one from the left, okay, here is the share icon. It's just to the left of the printer. And when I click on this share icon, okay, I get this Google sharing window. This is where I can, hit copy, and I could paste this into the Google chat, or, paste it in anywhere that I want to share this with people. Okay. You guys, I could also, right next to the word copy, there's a tiny little QR code icon, and I can click on it and get a QR code. So what's super cool about that is that if you have students that have, iPads, or if you had parents in for an open house and they had phones, you could take that QR code, print it off, put it up somewhere, and that way people could just scan it in order to get to the CAMI document as well. Okay. Then you guys, the thing I want you to notice is that I made it so that anyone with the link could be an editor of this document. So if you're used to Google tools, you guys, this is no different than doing it with Google Slides or Jamboard or Google Docs. You'd say, anyone with the link can be an editor. But what I did is I used this button right here that says Control Features, and I clicked on it. And it gives me a list of every single option in CAMI. So look at all this stuff that I didn't give you. I didn't give you the dictionary tool. I didn't give you the read aloud tool. There's a whole bunch of highlighters here that I could have given you. There's an equation tool. There's drawing tools. Okay. So you guys, this is the cool thing about CAMI, is that if you are teaching like young students, for example, that maybe might be really overwhelmed by having just all those different tools, you can just select a couple of tools that you know that they will need in order to complete the activity. Or if you're working with even, whatever age kids, and they're just highly distractible. We know that about our kids, right? So this can be a way to kind of minimize distractions as well. So what I'm going to do right now is just hit all on, okay? And then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and hit okay. Now, if you want to quickly go back and look at your CAMI window, okay, you can. If you're like, no, I just made it back to the Google Meet, I'm not going anywhere, that's fine too, okay? But if it's something that's easy for you to hop back over and look at your CAMI window, you'll see now that there's all these other tools, okay? And you can feel free to play with them. If you're new to CAMI, you can feel free to click on those and just kind of experience them. But what I'm going to do at this point, you guys, is I'm going to kind of start a demonstration, and I'm going to talk about, just how to get started with CAMI. But for those of you who are not new to CAMI, I want to tell you something that's finally happened that I'm so excited about. Okay, you guys, if you've been to my sessions before, you've heard me say that in the past, teachers couldn't delete student work. And that, I think, is one of our biggest things that just happened last month. We now have the ability, okay, to delete student annotations. So if we're here in a collaborative experience, you all are educators, right? So everything you've done has been fine. But let's say that instead of writing this sweet comment about loving the library of resources, that Terry had written something like, this is boring, right? Well, look what happens when I rest my mouse on top of her text box here. I can see her initials. I can see a read aloud tool. So I could click this. Okay. And it could be read to me. I could also delete it. Okay, so this is the really cool thing about working collaboratively in CAMI. If you all tried to go onto somebody else's page and change what they've done, you wouldn't have access. Okay, so the cool thing is that kids can delete or change their own work. Teachers can delete anybody's work, but kids can't mess with each other's stuff. So that's one of the wonderful things that is, that's a wonderful feature of CAMI, because you know how it is when you put kids together collaboratively in a space, it can be a really magical experience, but it can also be frustrating. As soon as somebody realizes that they can screw around with somebody else's stuff, sometimes our kids push limits, right? So I'm glad to see in the chat that you guys are, loving that. So I'm just taking a peek at the chat, seeing if there's anything else any other questions that are coming up. There aren't. So you guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close out of this just so I don't get too many just so I don't get too many tabs open. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just start from scratch for those of you that are new and say, like, what is Kami, right? So if you scrolled through that document and looked at anybody else's work, we saw people saying things like, I love that I can, annotate. I love that I can annotate on top of my kids' work. I can give them feedback, things like that. And so what Kami is, let me show you. I'm going to click on the Google Chrome extension right here, top right. Okay. And it opens up this thing called the dashboard. And the dashboard, you guys, is kind of the homepage of Kami. And what I want you to know is Kami is a world where you can bring anything that you have currently in and create learning experiences, create activities or assignments for your kids. So what do I mean by that? I mean Google Slides. I mean Google Docs. Of course, PDF files, okay? Someone asked about creating fillable PDFs. So you won't actually create fillable PDFs, but you will empower your students to put text boxes on them, okay? So that way, if there was a series of questions on a worksheet and you want to use it in this digital space, you could allow students to quickly and easily make text boxes and answer questions or fill in the blank or that kind of thing. You guys, Kami takes it to the next level though, because you can do more than just text. You can allow them to record their voice as well, or record their face. There's an audio recorder. There's a video recorder. There's a screen recorder. So when I think about our little people who maybe aren't fluent with reading and writing, and you want to know what they understand about something, they can actually record. So I'm going to show you all of that. Okay. So basically, think of Kami as kind of a one-stop shop because you don't need a lot of other tools. You can just do it right in here. But don't think of it as reinventing the wheel or starting from scratch, because it's really about you taking what you already have and making it digital, okay, and putting it into this space where kids can then interact. All right. So let me show you, first of all, we can pull files from a variety of places. The first would be, of course, Google Drive. Anything you've got stored in your Google Drive, you can pull it right into Kami. Same thing with your computer. Anything, any PDFs that you might have on your computer, maybe you have a, set of PDFs from like a textbook publisher, or maybe you've got sample star tests or something like that, right? Anything you've got, you can pull into Kami, okay? There's also something called the Kami Library, and that's what Terry and I were chatting about a little bit ago. You guys, the Kami Library is this free resource that has almost 1,000 different templates in it. So let's look at those templates for a second. Follow my mouse over here to the top right of my screen where it says Browse Templates, okay? I'm going to click on that, and we're going to open up the Kami Library, and you're going to see that we're at, you can see 986 resources. So if this is overwhelming and you're like, I have no idea even where to start, then think about what you teach, okay? And go over to the left-hand side and tell it what you teach, right? You can use all of these little filters here. So maybe you're working on, maybe you're a classroom teacher, 3rd grade, and you're going to do some English language arts activities. By clicking on ELA, now it's kind of filtering, and it's like, hey, do you want this timeline? Or maybe you want this, Black history biography activity, or maybe you want this cool Venn diagram. You can see that there's all these different things that you could utilize with your kids. So what if we look at this bubble map right here and we go, oh, that might be great for vocabulary, right? So maybe we're going to put a vocabulary word here in the middle and then have them do synonyms or something like that. Or you can see there'd be oodles of things we could do with this. You guys, you can use this in 2 different ways. The first would be to open it with Kami. So this purple button right up here at the top right, click on this, it'll open right up in Kami, and you can start to set up an activity for your kids, okay? So you could put something here, you could write something here if you wanted to put like the vocabulary word in there or something like that. Or if you just find something that you're like, ooh, I wouldn't mind my kids even doing this on paper, absolutely download it for free and print it off. Totally fine either way, okay? So we know that there's times when we're gonna do things digitally, and we know that there's times when we might be doing things on paper. And that's, a good balance is always important. You can also, you guys, if you look over here on the left, you can also search or kind of sort by grade level, okay? So if you're like a 4th grade teacher, it might sort out some of the things that are, too low or too high for your kids. Now, One thing I want to mention in here, and this is more of an intermediate thing, okay, intermediate or advanced for those of you that are, have used it before. You may or may not have noticed that we have a couple of new icons here, and these are a couple months old, but what these are is ways for you to start to organize the resources that you find in the Kami library. So, for example, if you jump in here and you get really excited and you kind of fall down the rabbit hole, what I want you to do is whenever you find something that you think you might use again, okay, so let's say you find this wonderful comic strip and you're like, oh, this would be perfect for April when I'm going to do whatever, right? You can click right here on this little bookmark icon. And what it does is it launches a little menu that allows you to add it to a collection. So collections are just groups, okay? And there's automatically a collection called saved templates. Okay, you're already going to have that. But then you can also make your own collections. So you can see here, guys, I've made, March 2023, I made February, I made chapter 2 biology, civil rights, so you can do it by topic, you could do it by date, however you want to organize things. So if you want to create a new collection, you can click right down here at the bottom, and I could type in April, okay, of 2023, or, and then I just hit enter so I have it. And then look, it went ahead and checked that box. It assumes that I want to use it in April. It also automatically puts it in saved templates as well. Okay. So for those of you that are familiar with the Kami library and you're looking for a way to kind of get a little bit more organized, that's a neat way to do it. Okay. So be aware that this is here, you guys, because there's a ton of stuff in here that I think useful. All right. I'm going to hop back here now, and I want to talk about just kind of, building out an activity in Kami. And let's talk about what makes Kami special, okay, and why we might want to use it over paper, for example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click where it says My Computer, okay, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to grab, let's see here, this frog dissection JPEG, okay? So you guys, if you've been in my sessions before, you know this is one of my favorite templates to use, and here's why. Even though it's a frog dissection, and you're thinking to yourself, Avra, I'm not a biology teacher, I'm not doing frogs with my kids. This is a labeling the parts kind of activity. And a lot of times we do have kids do that, or we have kids add text boxes to pages. And that's what we're going to do here. Okay. So what it's doing right now is it's saying to me, hey, this file is a JPEG. It's a picture. Okay. It's an image file. We need to convert it. So I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead and convert it. So while it's doing that, you guys, think about any other pictures you might have. Do you have a map? A picture of a map? Do you have a different science diagram, maybe the life cycle of a flower or a butterfly or whatever it is that you're studying, right? Just keep in mind that any of those types of files can be brought into Kami, okay? Now, I always like to mention that I'm going to use the zoom tool. So I'm up at the top right of my screen, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I want to be able to see the whole page and I want to be able to see the margin, okay? Here's why this is important. Our students use smaller screens always, whether they're on a laptop or a Chromebook or an iPad, it's always small. And it's really important to make sure that the digital environment in which they work is comfortable. And so we don't want it to be all zoomed like this with like possibly comments over here hanging off the side. So I teach my kids, hey, you can make this bigger and smaller and you can get it to be comfortable for you. Okay. Now we want to be able to see the page. We also want to be able to see the margin because this is where we can put comments. Now you might be thinking of comments as something to use for feedback, and you are not wrong. Absolutely. We can use comments to, tell our kids, hey, check your spelling, or great job, or, you need to finish this part. You forgot this one, or something like that. Right. But we can also build out an activity with some comments as a way to give instructions. So you guys look at this page, it's pretty full, right? And I could put some words up here maybe, but that's a lot to look at. So what if instead I went to the I went to the comment tool and I chose the text comment here. I'm going to come over and click somewhere on the page, and now I can type. Okay, so I could start to type instructions. if I wanted to, okay? I can also, you guys, use the voice typing tool. So if I don't want to type and I just want to say it quickly and have it dictate for me, this is what you should do. You could do something like that, okay? And your kids can do that as well. We'll talk more about that later. But you guys, there's an even better option, and that is the idea that you could record your voice. So think about this. How well do your students read instructions, comprehend them, assimilate them into the activity that they're doing, and understand what to do? Sometimes they'll do better when they hear us, right? And when they can hear us multiple times, as many times as they need. So what if you were to clone yourself by clicking, and as soon as I click, it's going to start to record. Hey friends, you did an amazing job as you were dissecting your frogs last week. So now it's your turn to show me what you know. You're going to use the text box tool to label the parts of the frog. Yes, you can work with your lab partners, and if you have any questions, come and see me. So you guys, look at that. We've taken an activity that they could have done on paper, but now look at this. This is something that you can't do with paper, right? This is the instructions built right into the activity. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, but here's the thing. My kids are new to Kami and they're not going to know how to make a text box. Well, I can fix that. We're going to skip this one here. I'm heading back over to comment. We're going to skip video for now, and we're going to go to screen capture. You guys, screen capture is just a screen recorder built right in, whether you use Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic, Loom, whatever maybe you've used in the past. This is it, built right in. You don't need those programs. You can click, and now, hold on a second, I'm going to tell it to record this entire window. Here we go. I'm going to hit share, and now it's recording my window. It's recording this whole screen. So I could say, all right, boys and girls, here's how you make a text box. You click on text box, and then you come and click somewhere on your page. And then you can write your words, and then you can say, oh, shoot, that's not in the right spot. No problem. Look what happens when I put my mouse on top of here. I get this little menu, and this little menu has a crosshair. This crosshair is going to be my way to move this around. So you guys see what I'm doing is I'm building out a whole tutorial for kids and showing them what to do. And I could say, hey, I just triple clicked on that 3 times fast, and it made it so that it highlighted the whole thing. And now look, I can make it smaller so it'll fit inside of the box. You know, this kind of a thing, you guys. You can actually go through and show them about to teach something brand new, and you're going to have kids do a Kami activity, and you look out in your class and you've got like 5 or 6 kids absent, and you're thinking, I can't believe I have to start something new today with a whole bunch of kids absent. Well, then what you can do instead, or in addition, is also record the instructions, maybe even make a little mini lesson video and put it right into the activity, okay? And then what'll happen is all of this is just attached, okay? And your kids will be able to hit play. They'll be able to watch it, okay? This little button down here, I'm at the bottom right, you guys. This little button is the full screen button, okay? So if I do that, it actually goes full screen, so that way kids could watch the entire thing, but bigger, right? So that way they're not just watching down there in that little tiny thumbnail, okay? The other thing to know, and I mentioned this before, is that there is a video comment. You guys, the video comment is front-facing camera. So now it's just recording me. So maybe I'm standing at my board, and maybe I'm working a math problem. Maybe I'm reading a story, right? Maybe I'm showing how to do something physically. Maybe we're about to do some kind of science lab, and we're showing kids the different things they need to know how to do. With audio, you have 5 minutes. With video, you have 20. So this program is a way to take like typical activities that you might do on pencil and paper, but augment them, make them better by adding some supports for kids, some scaffolds. And then I want you to think also, conversely, your kids can use all these tools. So you could have kids, you know, just using the text box tool, but you could also have them recording their voice or recording their face or anything like that to answer questions, to demonstrate understanding, anything like that. Okay. So that was a quick demonstration of how to get an activity set up. And I wanted to show that because I know we had people in here who were new. But now I want to show you how we can put this into Google Classroom. And then I want to make sure to share, some of the cool updates and things like that that we've done for those of you that maybe have been at my sessions before. Okay. So if I'm moving kind of quickly, guys, that's because we kind of set this up as a little bit of an intermediate activity or session. Okay. And you can always email me for more help. All right. So you guys, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go up to the top right to where it says share document right here. I'm going to go over to the save button. Okay. So just be aware that all of these kind of icons here are ones that you'll probably use on a pretty regular basis. When I hit save, I can upload this to Google Drive. Now I want you to know something. I'm doing this manually because I wanted to show you how. But yours will probably upload automatically. And when you do, when it does upload automatically, look where it goes. Look up here at the top left. You're going to see Cami Uploads, and it's called Frog Dissection JPEG PDF. Cami Uploads is the name of the folder where it goes in Google Drive, okay? By default. You could always move it to a different folder if you wanted to, but that's where it's going to go unless you change it. And here we could change it to something else. I could call this like first period or something like that. Or maybe I could call this Wednesday's homework or whatever. You can call this anything you want. Okay. That's your file name. Oops, didn't mean to launch that. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to head to Google Classroom and I want to show you what's possible in here. Okay. And yeah, thank you so much, Patricia, for making that comment about homework. You're exactly right. It's wonderful. And I will tell you that in my experience, when I've taken the time to either record voice or video in an activity like this, you know who else likes it besides kids? Parents, because they can hear you explain what to do. And I know that might be like, ugh, thinking about, parents watching you, but think about it. If you could explain to parents how to help their kids, it's awesome. Okay. So if you're going to push this out in Google Classroom, what you're going to do is go to the classwork page and hit create. And you want to choose the second option down. It's Cami assignment. You'll see it right away. And in here, this is where some magical stuff can happen. Okay. So first of all, I'll go in and of course, just give it a, quick name, of course, and then I'll go to Google Drive and click. And then I need to go to that Cami Uploads folder right here, okay? And I'll be able to find my little ugly innards of a frog here and hit select. Now, what Cami and Google Classroom have done is they have assumed that you want to make a copy for each kid. So right here, kind of in the center of the screen, you'll see make a copy for each student. But if this were a different type of activity, maybe this was a group brainstorm or something that you want to do collaboratively, you could always push this out to your students in order to be collaborative. Okay, I'm going to leave it on make a copy for each kid because that's what I'm doing. We're talking about the individual assignments right now. But also, guys, look over here. Do you see this control features? Okay, this is what I was showing you before. So let's look at this because there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do in here. First of all, I like to say all off. Okay, I like to turn everything off, and that way I can just go in and select the things I need. So I know that I want the select tool. You guys, the select tool is the mouse. Okay, we want them to have that. But then also, maybe we want them to have the option to record their voice. I'll show you why in a minute. We want to give them the text box tool, right? Absolutely. If you give them the drawing tool, they might try to write in those little boxes. So maybe you don't want to do that for this one, right? You decide, okay? And then you guys, I want you to be aware that there are some support features and some of these are new. So things like voice typing. Okay, so you know how I clicked on when I was in that comment, I clicked and I kind of voice typed, I dictated and it put down what I was saying. You can turn that on and off if you want. So sometimes you might love that. Other times you might be assessing for spelling or something like that and you don't want that. Speaking of spelling, spell check can be turned on and off. Copy and paste can be turned on and off. The ability for students to add pages can be turned on and off. We've also in recent months added closed captions to all of our videos. The videos that you make, any YouTube videos that you bring in, all of those can have closed captions if you want, or they don't have to. So they can be great supports for kids, but there might be times when you want them turned off. Okay. So yeah, these are fantastic features and it's wonderful because you as teachers have the control over what they have and what they don't. Okay. You even have the option down here, guys. You see where it says remember options. If you find yourself using like the same, maybe there's like a half a dozen tools that you'll give them each time. okay, you could absolutely check the little box that says, remember those options, and it will default to that for you next time. You can always go in and change it, but that way then you don't have to if you want to just use those same ones, okay? So you guys, at this point, what I'm going to do, you of course can change your points and your due date and your topics and all of that, but I'm going to hit assign because I want to quickly do the work as a student, show you what that looks like. And then I want to come back and spend a little bit of time talking about giving feedback in Google Classroom and Kami together. Okay. So I'm going to kind of slide over now and be a student in this Google Classroom. Okay. And I'm going to click right here where it says open with Kami. And it will just open up for me. Now, think about this. We can absolutely have kids adding text boxes to label the parts of the frog. We'll talk about text recognition later. So we can absolutely have them click and type something, click and type something, right? So this is how you would have them, you know, if they were answering questions or filling in the blank or doing anything like that, they just click and type. Okay, that's great. But what if you wanted to take it to the next level and really get a sense of whether kids understood something? Maybe instead of just text boxes, you go up to the comment tool, you let them choose the voice comment, and then they click and they say, this is the XYZ part of the frog. And as I was dissecting it, or when I was learning, or when I watched the video, I learned that it's connected to this. And I was reflecting and thinking about this or that or whatever, right? So you guys, lots of possibilities in terms of students being able to demonstrate understanding, reflect on their own learning, right? Maybe you have them do a math problem or show a math problem or do any kind of activity, and then you always have them do a voice comment to just talk about their learning. How was this activity for you? Did you feel successful? To get just kind of build in some opportunities for reflection, kind of build those metacognitive skills. So just keep in mind that Kami doesn't just have to be about drawing and typing. It can also have some really cool multimedia features as well. Okay. You guys, I didn't zoom, and look at kind of how this is got a bunch of stuff over here. There's a bunch of stuff here. It's kind of crowded. That's why I like to teach kids to zoom. It just makes it so that it can be a more comfortable environment. Okay. Up here at the top right, you guys, this is the turn in button. So for those of you who are new, this is how your kiddos will turn the work into you. They'll click there, and then they're going to see this little blue turn in button. All right. After they hit turn in, they wait for confetti. Confetti is a visual cue. You'll see it. It's an animation that's going to come up at the bottom that says, woohoo, you're done. Okay, so now the student has completed their work. All right, and I will take a look at this. You know what? It is so funny that you say that. We just had somebody from another school ask to do the same thing, Guillermo, that you asked for in terms of kind of setting up like kind of sets of them, right? Like sets of feature controls. Like if I'm doing this kind of activity, I want these and all of that. We just submitted that to our engineers. So I'll go in after our session today and say, hey, another upvote for that. So yeah, exactly. Presets. Perfect. I love it. Thank you for sharing. You guys, all of the cool features of Kami, many of them are because teachers ask for them. Okay. So please feel free to do exactly that. Ask me or, you know, let anyone at Kami know, and we'll put it on the list. Okay. So now I'm back in Google Classroom as a teacher. I want to show you a couple cool things. First of all, if I want to go in and just take a look at that individual assignment that kid just did, I'll click on it. I'll come over here. I'll click on my, like, one person has turned it in. It's going to launch into my like little gradebook-ish area here, and I'm going to click. It's going to open up. Okay. And for those of you that are new to Kami, here's what's cool. It puts a little mini version of Kami right inside of Google Classroom. Okay. This is where you seriously have to do some zooming though, folks, because you want to be able to see it, right? So like, look, not only are my videos over here, but Sally student, you know, the person that was creating this, she actually recorded herself. So that might be part of the assignment. And I need to listen to her explain to me her learning. Okay. So feel free to use this Zoom tool to be able to navigate. Also, you have access to all of these tools. You guys, you've got drawing tools over here. Okay. So if you could look at this and go, hello, I don't know what word that is. Or if they did a really great job, you could go to add media. And we have stickers. fun stickers. So we can put something in here that says, hey, you've made awesome progress or something like that. So there's fun things you can do in here. There's practical things you can do in here. And also don't forget comments. Comments can be used for feedback as well. Okay, so you can record yourself, give them some verbal feedback. Hey, you did a great job, but you know what? I noticed that you didn't complete the right-hand side. So maybe, go back and finish those, please, and then resubmit or something like that. So just be aware that all of that is built right in. Okay. Now, you guys, since we're in Google Classroom, this is a little bit more advanced. So for those of you that are familiar with Kami, let me show you a couple other options. I'm going to close out of that, and I'm going to come back to just my classwork here. And I'm going to go down to an assignment that I know I've got a bunch of student work in. So just a demo. Okay. You guys, I'm going to click here at this assignment, and I'm going to go ahead and just come in like I'm going to go in to grade it. And instead of actually clicking on one of these, I'm going to go over to the right-hand side. Do you see where it says grade by page? Has anyone ever used this before? Feel free to put in the chat if you have. I'm going to click on it and show everybody what it does. But this grade by page is magic, okay? What it's going to do, it's taking a minute. It's doing its little rigmarole here, okay? And it's going to take all of this student work together and put it side by side. So now I can go like this. So Elizabeth, you've used it before. Awesome. So you can go like this and just quickly do a quick visual scan. You can still in here though, record if you want to. You could use the drawing tools. You can do anything you want on each of these individual assignments. You can put in grades. You can put in, your scores up here. You can return it. But what's wonderful is that you can scan through very quickly and see all the kids' work. You guys, I wish this assignment had 2 pages, because if it did, you'd just be able to scroll on down or up, and be able to see all of page 2 and then all of page 3. So really quick and easy way to be able to do some grading. You guys, I'm loving the emojis. Those are so fun, and it's wonderful to see that you're happy. Okay, so this is one of the things that I love about our Google Classroom integration. Now, something else that I love. Okay, so just so you know, how did I get there, right? Just as a reminder, when we're here, instead of clicking on the individual kid's assignment, go over to the right-hand side and choose grade by page, okay? If you forget and you come in here, grade by page is accessible up here as well. And you guys, and it's so much faster than clicking here and waiting for it to load. And clicking here and waiting for it to load, right? You just click grade by page and it'll just put them all right there next to it for you, okay? Next to each other. So that's one thing that's really awesome. The other thing that's really awesome is that if you make a mistake in a Kami assignment, oops, sorry, hold on. If you make a mistake, so let's say I pushed out this frog dissection activity and I forgot to give it a title. Duh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up and I'm going to come down to the PDF. Okay, so you guys, this is just a link to open it in Kami. I'm going to go here to where it says PDF. Okay, I'm going to open this. I'm just going to click on it. And you're going to see a magical button in the top right that says edit material. You guys, what this means is open up my Kami assignment and let me make changes because I forgot something. Like here, I forgot to delete this part of the frog. That needs to go, right? So I'm going to get rid of that, okay? I also never put a title up here. Oops. So, hey, I want to write frog dissection labeling or something like that, right? So I want to add some additional things. I want to I realized that in one of my videos over here, I didn't make a lot of sense. So maybe I want to delete some of these. I want to make changes to the activity that I already gave out to my kids. Doesn't matter if the kids have opened it. Doesn't matter if they've already done some work on it. You go up and that floppy disk has turned into push changes. You guys, right here, push changes. And we're going to choose push changes now. And it's going to go through and it's going to change every kid's Kami document, even if they've already opened it. So that way, if you do make a mistake and you forget something or you want to add something later, you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to start all over again with a new assignment. Okay. All right. Yeah, I love it too. It's awesome. All right, you guys, I want to take a peek at my agenda because I want to remember everything I want to show you. Let's see. let's head to split and merge and talk about split and merge. And let's talk about the library with split and merge. So you guys, 2 ways to get to Kami. One is to go kami.app in a new, just a new tab. It's what I just did. I typed in kami.app, or you can just open up the dashboard by clicking here on the extension. And this is where we bring stuff in. This is where we could go and browse the library. But down here, there's some additional things I want you to know about. One, you could go right into creating a Google Classroom assignment if you wanted to by just clicking right here, okay? You could also just start a new blank page in Kami. Check this out. If you choose this, you can have it have as many pages as you want. It can be blank, or it can be any number of the templates that are here. Okay, we've got a music sheet, we've got lined paper. Okay, and you're kind of going, but Avra, it's sideways. Well, no problem. We can change it to portrait, right? But what if we chose then instead the Venn diagram? Well, then we do want to change it back to landscape, right? So you guys can decide, but this would be how you could create a brand new blank page. Also, you guys, think about this. If you ever wanted to use this as kind of a whiteboarding tool, so maybe you're teaching a lesson to kids and you want to use this and project it up on your screen, or if you have an interactive whiteboard or whatever it is you have in your classroom, you could just open up a blank page here and start to solve a math problem, right? Maybe we're working through decomposing numbers, and we're want to talk to our kids about how to do this. You can use all the tools in Kami. It works with stylus. It's going to work with any mobile devices that you have. And don't forget that as you're teaching the lesson, you could always turn on the screen record, okay, and click. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell it to record that whole window. And now as I work to, solve this problem, so maybe I'm saying, hey, we're going to break this down into 30 plus 3 to decompose 33, and so on and so forth. Okay. Not only, guys, am I creating a visual representation of that problem, but I'm also over here recording so that way kids could hear me and see me work the problem. Okay, so think of it also as a possible way to be able to create, use it as like a teaching tool, okay, where kids are watching, and then you could just take this. It's called blank right now, but you could call it decomposing numbers, and maybe go put it in your materials in your Google Classroom, right? Or attach it to an assignment to say, kids, when you go to do this, here's a video on how to do it. Okay, so be aware that that's, a possibility as well. And then you guys, I'm going to open up this one more time, and I'm going to show you split and merge. So split and merge is this wonderful tool that allows you to take large files and pull them apart, split them up. Okay, so maybe you get a PDF file that's got like 20 pages and you only want page 2. You can do that. Or it allows you to merge together different files. Okay, so I know we're down to about 6 minutes. I'm going to quickly show you this, and then I want to leave time for questions. So I'm going to click on split and merge, and I'll show you what it looks like to split something apart. Okay, give it a second for this to load up. My Wi-Fi must be running a little slowly. I hope you guys can still hear me okay. It makes me a little nervous when it takes so long. I'm so impatient. I shouldn't be. Because we all know that, clicking more times is just going to make it go faster, right? Come on, Wi-Fi. What's going to happen here, guys, is it's going to load up a page where I can click on a Google Drive icon. And when I do, I can go into a folder in Google Drive, and it's going to allow me to pull out a file, okay? And it's going to take this really big, long file and make it so that I can split it apart, okay? I can actually take just certain pages and make them their own file. Okay, this would work with a PDF. This would work with a Google Doc. This would work with a slideshow. Okay, conversely, the merge part of split and merge would be a way for me to pull together a lot of different documents. Doesn't matter if they all match. You can pull together a slideshow with a document, with a PDF, with an image file, and build a packet for kids. And I apologize, this just doesn't want to load. I'm going to do a quick refresh here and see if it gets happier for me. And if not, it might be the universe's way of saying, hey, Avra, stop talking. Oh, it's working. So you guys, let me just show you what this looks like in case you've never seen it before, and then I will stop. Okay, I'm just going to do the split part of split and merge. So what I did is I went to I know I went fast there, but I just clicked on Google Drive, and then I went into the folder and I found this really long PDF. It's like 50 pages long. And if I just want them to do this page, all I have to do is drag it and drop it, and boom. Now I've got ratios, page 2. And what I can do is choose export right here. I can push it straight into Cami if I want. I could download it and just print just that page. I could put it in Google Drive for a later time. Okay. So it's a way for you to be able to kind of manage files a little bit if you've got something that's way too big and you only want certain parts of it. Okay. All right, you guys. We have about 3 minutes left. What questions do you have? Anybody have anything that you want to ask or you're wondering about? If you feel a little bit like you've been drinking from a fire hose, you're probably not wrong. There's so much that Cami can do that it's hard to, cover everything in an hour. I don't see questions coming in. You guys, I do want to remind you that my email address is kind of your ticket to, if you think of more questions and you're like, oh, I should have asked that, just shoot me an email tomorrow. Okay. And yeah, we're recording the sessions, so we're all good there. And since you're not asking any questions, I'm going to quickly just take 2 minutes and show you what it looks like to merge some stuff together. But I'm keeping an eye on the chat in case anybody is asking questions. You guys, I'm just going to grab a couple of different files here, okay, and show you what it looks like to load them all up. Okay, so I just went into a Google Drive folder, pulled in some different stuff. And then now look, all I'm doing is dragging them up and I can make them all one big file. Okay, so we can move things around in here and we can duplicate things if we want to. So maybe we want to do this graphic organizer twice or something like that. So it's a cool file management kind of utility that just will hopefully help you as you're trying to create digital activities, especially like a packet for kids. So just be aware that that's there. And if you want me to go through it more slowly, I can totally do that. Okay. I agree. Thank you so much for joining us today.